Hello and a very warm welcome to this special show where we decode the budget via finfluencers. These are finance influencers. These are digital content creators which influence our life, our decision, and all of that is going to be done here as well, where they try to decode the budget for all of us in the language we understand.
Absolutely, Arun. We've all been tracking the finance minister today and all the experts, but of course, the youth really gets what's on the reels and how the influencers really explain the budget. There have been too many numbers throughout the day, but at the end, it really boils down to how it matters to you, how will it impact your pockets, and what will really change in your financial life. So that's what we'll really decode in this show, Arun.
And we have a show packed with a lot. So, of course, the new tax slabs, how your tax gets calculated, what's in it for Gen Z, what's in it for middle class, all of that. But we'll begin the show with understanding what gets costlier and cheaper.
So let's begin with that good news first. What gets cheaper? There's several items. According to the finance minister, parts for mobile phones have become cheaper, so that could reflect in the mobile phone prices as well. Parts for TV panels have been, the customs duty have been reduced on that as well. The machinery for lithium-ion batteries, which are of course used in mobile phones again, that is likely to get more cheap as well. And raw materials for EV industry in that big EV push, that's also likely to get cheaper. But what all could get dearer?
Cigarettes. And then you have imitation jewelry. You have electric kitchen chimneys, imported bicycles and toys. All of this gets costlier.
That first one might actually be a good news for many.
100%.
Well, so we'll get you that and a whole lot more. As I said, we are joined by financial influencers and they'll be decoding the budget with us. Let's welcome our guests on the discussion. We have Himani Chaudhary, who's joining us in the Delhi studio. We also have Jay Desai, who's a CA and a financial influencer as well. We have Anushka Rathod, who's also a financial influencer. Rishabh Jain also joining us along with Neha Nagar. Thanks very much, all of you, for joining us. So let's just begin with what your first takeaway from the budget is. What would you make a 1-minute reel about? Himani Chaudhary, if I can start with you.
Well, you know, today I was reading that budget word came from bulga in Latin, which actually meant leather bag. But today the budget was presented in a tablet. So we are definitely going ahead. And my key takeaways would be that there's key focus on manufacturing and exports because the exports were declining. And also they want to improve the unemployment rate. It is at an all-time high of 8.3% and 10% in urban areas, which is a problem for the common man. And also after that, they want to increase the disposable income for the common man by introducing various saving schemes and also by changing the tax structure. Even though it's an incremental benefit, but it's a benefit, which is what we were expecting. And also, Financial Minister also said that she wanted to decrease the fiscal deficit to 5.9% this year, which will be at the level of what other developing economies like China have. They have around a fiscal deficit of 5.2%. So, but eventually the entire theme comes out to be a self-reliant India. They want us to produce our own electricity so that our dependence on oil becomes low. They want us to produce organic food, so the electric tech has been given quite a bit of support. And also we have abundant water resources, etc. So eventually by 2047, I think we'll be self-reliant.
A lot of manufacturing to, keep the current account deficit also in check. Now we'll go to Mr. Desai as well. What's your biggest takeaway from this budget, Jay Desai?
I think as Himani rightly pointed out, the budget was presented on a tablet, right? So I also think that the budget also focused on digitalization, many new areas like
also
AI,
that was not happening for the first time though, we must point out. But otherwise,
yeah, not for the first time.
What was in that tablet? Out of those things, if you can mention one.
Yeah. So I'll just focus on one. Sorry, am I audible?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah. So I'll just focus on one main thing. The income tax slabs have been revised. And one key change that I could notice, there is no tax up to 7 lakh rupees. So if you're earning 7 lakh rupees, there is zero tax under new tax regime. Earlier, it used to be that if you are earning 7 lakh rupees, you could claim a deduction of 1.5 lakhs. There is a deduction of 50,000. Then your income tax your taxable income comes down to 5 lakhs, and there was a rebate on 5 lakhs of income. So earlier it used to be that you had to invest 1,50,000 in order to get that non-taxable income. But now it is on 7 lakhs you don't have to pay any tax. So now the key main thing that I could highlight is
the tax.
Earlier the government wanted you to save your money, as in invest your money, but now they want you to spend your money.
We have a full segment dedicated to that, Shaw. We'll get into that. Anushka Rathod, I would like to go to you. What is your biggest takeaway from the budget?
I think in addition to what Jay and Himanshu said, I think my biggest takeaway is that it's a very capital expenditure-led budget. So now with inflation being so high, government can't stimulate growth by just giving direct subsidies or direct benefit transfers to people, because that will just increase the inflation even more. So we are spending around almost 13.7 lakh crores, if I'm getting the numbers right, on capital expenditure, which is a huge number, and that is just going to increase, it's going to increase ground level income of people who are going to spend it again more, and just revise the economic growth that is there without increasing in inflation, which is something that we need now. And the government has got that exactly right in this budget.
Right. So the focus really this time has been on capital infrastructure and the capital investment, and that's what we've highlighted as well. Rishabh Jain, if we can come to you, we've discussed tax, we've discussed the capital expenditure. What is the USP that stands out for you this time?
For me, this time the budget focuses a lot on startups, and there are a lot of fine points which startups can get out of this budget. For example, a lot of focus is given on the ease of business. Earlier, there used to be hundreds and thousands of compliances. This budget says that they will bring a bill, Vishwas bill, which will bring down these compliances even further. There is a talk about a unified sort of portal where all the startups can put their information, and on various government portals, they need not fill these information again. There's a more focus on apprentices as well. The budget says that 47 lakh apprentices will be given some incentives. So this will enable startups to even hire more incentives and give those fresher more opportunities in this industry. And lastly, there has been some tax rebates for startups as well. For example, in MSME sector, if you are a business doing a turnover up to 3 crore, then you can fall into presumptive tax regime, and you can essentially pay tax at 6%. So I believe this is a very friendly budget for startups as well as small businesses.
Right, and in fact, we couldn't not focus on the taxes even while we were discussing the key takeaways. And let's just deep dive into that, those tax regime changes that have been announced. And the tax exemption limit that was earlier 5 lakh rupees has now been increased to 7 lakh rupees. So people that have an income of less than 7 lakh rupees don't have to pay any income tax. So that's good news, definitely for the common folk. But there have been changes in the new income tax slabs as well. And that says that starts from 3 lakh rupees. So Arun, there are many confusions about if the slab starts from 3 lakh rupees, then how come people from 7 lakh don't have to pay an income?
So I put a meme about this, that how people are so happy about this 7 lakh rupees rebate. And then I got so many replies that, okay, then why do we have a slab for 0 to 3 lakh and then 3 to 6 lakh? But we'll try to decode that as well. So first, understand these slabs. So first of all, for income of rupees 0 to 3 lakh rupees, there's absolutely no tax. This is this slab that we're talking about. Now then, income of 3 to 6 lakh rupees, there's 5%. Then income of 6 to 9 lakh rupees, there's 10% of tax rate. Income of 9 to 12 lakh rupees, there's 15%. 12 to 15 lakh rupees, 20%, and income above 15 lakh rupees, there's 30%. Now, this is a tax slab. Now, I'll give you an example, and it'll help you decode how your tax is actually calculated. Let's assume your salary is 9 lakh rupees, okay? There's not going to be one flat percentage on the entire amount. This 9 lakh will be divided as per slabs. So, on the first 3 lakh of the sum, there's going to be no tax. On the next 3 lakh, there's going to be 5%, which will be 15,000. And we're also showing you the graphic here. And then on the last 3 lakh, which is 10%, that will be 30,000 rupees. So in total, you pay 45,000 rupees on a salary of 9 lakh rupees. So if you have a salary up to 7 lakh rupees, absolutely no tax. And as we showed with an example, if you have salary, let's say, of 9 lakh rupees, that's what you pay, which is 45,000 rupees. Now, there's a lot of saving also thanks to the new slabs. If tax on this 9 lakh rupee was calculated using the old slabs, which is 0 to 2.5 lakh rupees, there was exemption, and then there was 5 lakh rupees rebate, you would need to pay at least 60,000 rupees, which means the new slabs lead to savings of some 25%, which is a good news.
That's absolutely good news. And Arun, honestly, this is the first time that I feel good about my salary. At least I have to pay less
Yay.
taxes. I think that's the only good news that I get out of the new tax regime and the announcements.
But we must say that this is under the new tax regime. You can still opt to file your taxes with the old tax regime, but there's a difference, Priyanshi, and we'll explore that as well.
Absolutely. We'll explore how you should really make that decision between choosing the old and the new tax regime. The finance minister, of course, said that the new tax regime will become the norm and will become the default tax regime, but the old tax regime can still be chosen. So we'll tell you how you can do that, how you can make that decision.
We'll pick that, of course, old versus new, and which one fits well for who. And if we can go for the same to our guest as well. I think we go to Jay for this. Jay, what do you think? How does one make this decision between old and new tax regime?
I think if you have, if you're making an investment that is tax deductible, and if it is a huge amount, then I think you should go for the old regime, since you can claim a deduction of it. And at the end of the day, of course, it comes to calculation. You have to calculate your tax comes lesser in which of the regime. Like, if your tax comes less in the old regime versus the new regime, then you of course you have to pick up old regime.
But is it true
but having said that,
sorry to cut you, but is it true that in the old tax regime, of course, there can be exemptions, and there's absolutely no exemption when it comes to new tax regime?
True. Yeah.
Please continue.
Yes. So when you're opting for the new tax regime, you cannot get deductions for, let's say, investments in PPF. You cannot claim deduction for, let's say, when you invest in Mediclaim premium. Things like that used to earlier fetch you a tax deduction in the old tax regime. Now, as I was saying earlier also, now government wants you to spend on other things.
Right.
Earlier, there used to be focus on investment and savings.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and there are multiple opinions on how you can really choose between the two tax regimes. Anushka Rathod, if I can get you in on this as well. The finance minister said that the new tax regime is more attractive. It will save you a lot of money. But as we pointed out, that there are several exemptions and deductions available in the old tax regime. So what will be your top 3 points for anybody who's confused on which tax regime to really choose?
First of all, if you're someone who has been paying taxes for some time now, you already would have like investments and expenditures planned according to the old tax regime. Now, according to that, those already planned things, if you're getting more benefits in the old tax regime, then go for that. But if you're not, if you're someone who's just starting out, with the emphasis that the government has given on new tax regime, I would say opt for that, because I feel eventually, you can't even like cancel that out, that, they might get away with the old tax regime altogether. So right now, if you're someone who's starting out, probably go for the new tax regime. Also, you can switch between new tax regime and old tax regime whenever you want. If you're a salaried employee, one year you can do new, next you can do old. So depending on your planning and the investments that you've already made, take the decision. But what I would say is, don't start with the old tax regime and don't currently make a lot of long-term investments or expenditures. Don't plan it according to the old tax regime, because these things can change. Like we've seen in the budget today, these deductions, exemptions that you get can change, and in the future you might not be able to avail it. So don't make your investments to save tax. Prioritize your financial goals first and then make your investments. So if you're starting new tax regime, if you're continuing and if you have good deductions, then old tax regime.
Right. I think it's safe to say that to each their own. Find out which tax regime benefits you and costs you less, and then choose accordingly.
Of course, and before we get on to exploring what's in it for middle class, I have a quick question for all of you, for all the finfluencers, and please treat it as an Instagram poll. So keep it short. It's just yes or no. You have two toggles. Usually, with budgets, it's one segment that is focused, let's say, or one segment which gets really happy with the budget. But would you say that this one has pleased everybody, which is the ultra-rich, middle class, and the poor as well? So we'll begin with you. A short, quick answer. Would you say that has pleased everybody?
Well, not for the poor, but yes, for other segments, yes.
Okay, Jay, what's your answer?
The same, exact same.
Okay, Anushka?
Not for the poor, but for rest of them, yeah.
I feel everyone's disappointed.
Okay, Rishabh.
There's always scope
I
for
believe-
improvement.
I believe it was a very thoughtful budget, and it sort of has something for everyone.
Okay, what's in it for middle class is what we explore after a very short break. So stay with us. Keep watching this special show with the Finfluencers.
We are decoding the budget for you and how it really impacts you. And now the question is, how does this budget really impact the middle class and how does their life change, Arun?
And we wanted to keep it snappy and the real way. Hence, we've got everybody who creates short and snappy content with us in the studio, Himani Chaudhary. And now we are focusing on what's in it for middle class. If you can explain in a very snappy, quick, real way.
Yeah. So definitely there's some saving in the tax regime. So someone earning 9 lakhs is saving 15,000 more, and someone earning 15 lakhs is saving 30,000 more. They can either spend it or save it. And second point is related to that within saving there are two schemes. One is for senior citizens. The limit is increased to 30 lakhs. And the second one is for the financial independence of women, wherein the new savings scheme has come with fixed interest rate of 7.5%. So I think these are the few benefits for the middle class.
Right. And Anushka Rathore, we were just speaking about this and you said that it's disappointing for a lot of people. So what do you think about that?
I think it's disappointing for a lot of people because, there's no negatives. So everyone's like, harsh, there's nothing, bad. But we had a lot of expectations for tax reliefs, for other support for entrepreneurship also, which we expected a lot, but we didn't get as much. But we understand the constraints that even our government has with the fiscal deficit and the current macroeconomic conditions. So that way I would say, we are not disappointed, but we're not overly excited as well.
Okay, Jay, what is in it for the middle class?
I think the MSME has been very key focus of interest in this budget. There is a credit guarantee, mention of credit guarantee, right? 9,000 crore infusion of 9,000 crore corpus. And there is also one more point, collateral credit fee of 2 lakh crore rupees to MSME.
Right.
So I think that is a very good thing for MSME sector.
Right. Rishabh Jain, what do you think? Have the expectations of the middle class been met? What do your followers say?
So if talking about salaried middle class, I guess their expectation will not be met, because one most important point which we fail to realize is everyone is talking about deductions, that ATC and Mediclaim deductions you cannot take in new regime, but that's okay. But the most important component of a middle class salaried person is their HRA, their LTA, their children education allowance. All these make up to 40-50% of their income, which is exempt under Section 10 of the Income Tax Act. But in new tax regime, you cannot take any of these exemptions. So if you account for all these exemptions, I believe this new tax regime and these slab changes did nothing for a typical middle class salaried employee.
Okay, in the end, we're just taking yay or nay from you guys. Jay Desai, budget, yay or nay for you?
Yes.
It's a yay. Okay, Anushka, yay or nay?
Yes.
Somewhere in the middle.
Somewhere in the middle. Rishabh, yay or nay?
Yeah.
Okay, what about you, Himani?
Definitely yeah.
Okay.
All right. I think the majority is for you.
With that, we wrap this show. But of course, it was thanks to each one of you for decoding the budget in your way, in the way you do it on Instagram or YouTube.
And we hope that answered some questions about especially tax. And we hope that made your life easier when it comes to the budget at least. Thanks very much for tuning in. Stay tuned to NDTV for all the latest on the budget.